we decided to move. We decided to move a few months before she was born because I want at least one of my children to be born in the house their grandpa built. Our kitchen wasn't done. And everyone around me joked that's why I was waiting to go into labor. Cecily was 5 days past her due date, past her due date, I say. And it was because the dang kitchen wasn't done. The countertops weren't in, the cabinets weren't done, and it was a mad frenzy to get it all done. And the night they finished the kitchen and we cleaned it up, I felt the contractions start. And all my other labors have gone that way, where I'll start in the evening, I labor for a few hours, my water breaks, and a few hours later we have baby. Simple, cut, dry. There's never been more to it. And Calvin trains jiu-jitsu almost every evening. So that evening I asked him, or I told him, I said, you can't go to the gym tonight. And he said, why? I said, because tonight's the night. I said, I feel it. The contractions have started. We're having a baby tonight. So I did my first home-cooked meal in the kitchen, and we put the kids to sleep, and I gave them hugs and kisses, just knowing that in the morning they were going to have a new sibling. And it didn't happen that way. It didn't happen that way at all. Amelia got sick, and she was sick all night. So I, of course, was sick with a stomach bug the next day all day, and my labor stopped. And I remember after I had been sick all day, I remember taking a shower, and I remember talking to Cecily, and I remember begging her. I remember saying, just give Mama one day. Just give me one day to rehydrate. Just give me one day to get some food in my belly, and I promise you I'll bring you home. And she did. She gave me one day. And then the next night, again, the contractions picked up, and I thought, you know, we're having a baby tonight. And poor Calvin was in bed with me, and then he got sick.
Loretta started having a little bit more late, like she started really going into the laboring. I threw up. So I went into the restroom and started throwing up, that I was getting sick, and then that stopped her laboring.
And any amount of stress shuts my labor down. So hearing him get sick just stopped. And he was besides himself. He came back to bed and just apologized. He was like, I'm so sorry, because he knew my labor had stopped. And he felt so bad about it. And he's like, I'm sorry. And I was like, it's okay. We need you to, everybody needs to be better. And I was like, the baby knows that, you know, she wants to give everybody a chance to get better before she gets here. But I labored all night. Every 15 minutes. They weren't strong, but they were every 15 minutes. It was enough to keep me up all night. So at 6 a.m, I called everybody to come over.
Everyone came over. Like 18 midwives, like 50 friends. So we had 2 midwives and 1 training midwives. We had her sister, Brenda came over, the doula came over. Brenda's been a big part of every single labor. I remember when Loretta told me that she wanted to get a doula, I was like, I don't know what a doula is, sounds expensive, let's not do that, that's not a good idea. But I wasn't having a baby, so eventually I got on board and we hired her, and it's been one of the best decisions we could have ever done. Brenda she's key, big time.
It was so many people. It was so many people. And I had never labored during the day before. I'd never had a baby during the day. It's always been nighttime. My bedroom was so bright, and it was full of so many people. And I could hear the kids downstairs fighting and screaming, and it was just stressing me out. And my contractions I remember them spacing apart. I think at one point they were every 20 minutes or every hour.
Winds rage, waves break, all the sanctuary made. Hands they hold what matters most, the faith in which I'm saved. And I
And Christy eventually had everybody leave the room, and she checked me, and I was only dilated to a 2. And I was just so defeated. I was so devastated in that moment because a 2? All night long. I'd been in labor for days, all night long, and I remember her saying, I couldn't even break your water if I wanted to. She's like, your cervix isn't open enough. And this was about noon on Tuesday, the day she was born. It was about noon. So she's like, what do you want to do? She's like, one, I can't even break your water. She's like, but I really think you need to rest. And I said, I do too. I think I need to rest. Left, and I just had a good cry in bed. I really did. I cried my eyes out, and Calvin comforted me, and I put an eye mask on, and my soothing spa music was going and shut the world out. And it's like as soon as everybody left, I went back to every 15 minutes.
And then between laborings, we were napping. So like we would sleep, she'll wake up, go through the pains, and then go right back to sleep. And we did that for like 2 hours.
Where the contractions started to get so intense that I thought to myself, this is what the end feels like. But there's no way. My water hasn't broken yet. There's no way that this is the end. I remember having a contraction, and it was so intense, I told Calvin, call everybody. And he asked me, are you sure? And in my head, I thought, yeah, I am more than sure. Call everybody right now. But I couldn't talk. I couldn't say more than call everybody.
3 is when you had a really strong one. And then you told me to call everyone.
What did you say?
I said, okay.
But you didn't.
But I didn't.
Why didn't you? Why didn't you call everybody?
I didn't call everyone because she was still 9-10 minutes apart. So I was like, they're not 3 or 4 minutes. It's not close. They were strong, but they weren't long.
They were still spread out really far.
They were like 10 minutes apart. We still got like hours before we get there. This whole time was a little different because before I was able to put my hands on her, squeeze on her hips, rub her back. This last labor was not like that at all.
And I think I was so close to having the baby, any pressure. If he just rested his hand on my hips, it was painful. His knee gently pressed against my belly, and it was excruciating. So I was going like this to him. I didn't want him anywhere near me because he wasn't helping with the pain.
I called Christy and told her the pains are getting strong, and she said, okay, it's good. We're on our way, and we hung up the phone. And I still thought they were like 8 minutes apart now. They got 7-8 minutes apart. So I thought, okay, we're still good, plenty of time. Chrissy told me to start the water. So I was in the middle of getting the tub ready. The tub was already inflated. I was in the middle of filling up the tub. I remember we touched the water to see if it was warm. And then I went back to grab something, and as I was going back to the tub, she had another contraction, and that's when she said,
in the next contraction, I said, I feel like I have to push. And that's when I saw the look on his face.
And that's when I started panicking. I was like,
And what went through your mind?
You can't push. That's what went through my mind. I'm like, you can't push.
And he got on the phone. I remember him holding the phone, and he just was frantic. He was grabbing the water hose to go over to the tub, and in my mind I was thinking, wait, it's too late. It is too late. Put the hose down.
But then the contractions got really, really short. They went from being 8 minutes apart. The contractions went like 8, 7, 9, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, baby. So I was holding the phone and holding your leg, and then that's when I put Christy on speakerphone to hold your leg up.
Calvin held my leg up, and I remember touching. With all my births, I've always wanted to feel the baby first. I wanted to feel the baby with my hand, but I've always been fearful of it. And I got my chance. I got my chance to feel her little head, and it calmed me down because I realized she was right there. She was about to come out.
When I saw Cecily's head crowning, that's when I knew, okay, it's like this is really happening. Loretta was moaning pretty loud, so I had to talk loud enough to where Christy can hear me. But it was more like screaming over Loretta's moans. So Loretta thought I was panicking because I'm screaming, And then Christy's screaming back on the phone so that way I can hear her. So we're all screaming at each other. And I was screaming at Christy saying that the baby's head's crowning, And she's telling me, that's when she said, okay, Calvin, you gotta stay calm, you're gonna have to catch this baby. I remember when her head popped out, is I saw her face and I saw her little hand next to her cheek. So I kept my hands on her like I was touching her. And then the next contraction is when Loretta pushed her shoulders out. And as soon as she pushed her shoulders out, she just shot out.
I was yelling at Calvin, give me my baby. I don't know where he was gonna walk off with it, but I wanted him to give me my baby. And he did, he passed her up. Jamie rushes in the back door of her bedroom, and poor thing is out of breath, stumbling, racing towards us. And she immediately comes over and starts rubbing the baby really hard until she cried. And she's the one who asked us. She's like, well, what is the baby? And it never occurred to us to look. I knew she was a girl. I always knew she was a girl. I was in shock. I feel like we were both in shock. We just had a baby all by ourselves.
Colors and promises, how to be brave, how can I love when I
Well, this is Cecily, Beatriz. Cecily is a name that I've loved forever. It's been on my list for all my births. Beatriz is after her great-great-grandmother, my dad's grandma. And it was really special because his grandparents were really very kind and loving to him when he was growing up. So he was ecstatic. He was really happy about the name. He calls her BB, and she was our bonus. She was our bonus baby. Our son is in his terrible twos, so we might not have tried for a third one after experiencing him like this. But God kind of upgraded our plans. He advanced them a little bit. You happy she was a girl?
I always knew after a girl and a boy and a girl comes.
Oh, she's my patient baby. She patiently waited while we all recovered from tummy bugs and until my kitchen was done, and she's been the icing on the cake.